Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's telephone town hall. I'm Adam Hardiman with the Wood Buffalo Recovery Task Force, and I'll be your moderator again this evening. Thank you for being with us for our 12th telephone town hall since re-entry in June. Before we begin, if you are on a cell phone and your call gets dropped, you can rejoin us by streaming it at rmwb.ca/townhall. At this time, I'd like to turn things over to Marty Giles with the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee for a brief introduction. Marty?
Thanks, Adam. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to one of our many town halls. The Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee, the task force, in collaboration with the Government of Alberta, Council, municipal staff, and our many partners, continues to be here for you as we work together to help our community recover. First, I'd like to also introduce you to all of tonight's participants that are either online with us by phone or sitting around the horseshoe here at Council Chambers. From the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee, we have Mark Hodson and Al Vinny. Sorry, my mic's a little close there. Dana Woodworth, who's the team lead for the Wood Buffalo Recovery Task Force. Bruce Horbachowski, acting manager, operations in the Wood Buffalo Task Force. Tracy Tester, supervisor of community development plans. Amanda Hartley, manager of economic development. And also joining us are from the Red Cross, Melanie Solar and Callie Forbes. From the Insurance Bureau of Canada, Rob Dupree. And from Specs, on the phone we have Mike Kirkwood. Last week, in collaboration with our partners, we hosted 5 community engagement sessions. Last Wednesday at the McMurray Experience, there was an information session on hazardous tree removal taking place across the community. While at Thursday, at our weekly community engagement session at Shell Place, we brought you information on financial, housing, and other supports available to the uninsured and underinsured residents. Then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Here For You team was all weekend at the Fort McMurray Tourism Fall Trade Show and the market at McDonald Island, listening to your concerns, gathering your feedback, and bringing your information on recovery efforts. In fact, I believe there was over 300 citizens we engaged with over those 3 days. Whether you attended one or all of the sessions, thank you so much to those that took the time to join us, and our many community partners as well for being there for the residents, and we look forward to continuing the conversation. This week, join us at Council Chambers at 6 p.m. for the next public meeting of the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee at Jubilee Centre. You can review the agenda right now at rmwb.ca. If you can't make it, the meeting will be streamed online at rmwb.ca and is broadcast live on Shaw TV Fort McMurray. On Thursday from 4 till 8, we are having another Here For You at our weekly community engagement session at Shell Place at McDonald Island. This week's session is going to focus on an amendment to the land use bylaw that will be discussed tomorrow evening at Council, which takes place as well at 6 p.m. tomorrow night in Council Chambers at Jubilee Centre. This meeting is also streamed live at rmwb.ca and broadcast live on Shaw TV Fort McMurray. This land use bylaw amendment, if approved by Council, will make it easier to rebuild in Abasan, Beacon Hill, and the portion of waterways that lies above the flood hazard area. We look forward to seeing you Thursday evening at Shell Place, as you'll always be there to discuss any general recovery questions you may have. And if you can't make it, tomorrow, on Thursday night, there's a 4:30 p.m. and a 6 p.m. presentation that will be streamed live on the municipality's Facebook page, and we'll take your questions in addition to those who attend in person. Then next Monday, we'll be at the Anzac Community Hall from 6 till 8 p.m. to discuss the recovery efforts alongside a number of partners, and we hope to see you there. Please check the rmwb.ca/engage for the latest times and locations of community engagement sessions and to view past presentations and session recaps. Now also, this will be our second last town hall that we're having. We have this one and we have one next Monday night. We may do them again later on if there's more demand to do that, but with the amount of engagement sessions that are happening and feedback from residents that is probably a bit more of an effective way to have a communication session, we'll be going to that versus sometimes the town hall, a person gets a question in and there's follow-up questions and we can't take time to do that, where we can sometimes spend 15 minutes engaging with our residents at the engagement session. So that's the direction we'll be taking it. I want to update you on some of the areas that we received the most questions about on last week's town hall and our community engagement sessions on social media and through the post line. On demolition and rebuilding, significant progress has been made on demolition permits and debris cleanup. There have been 1,600 demolition permit applications received. There's been 1,564 permits issued, and 532 post-demolition inspections have been completed. And we're over the 100 mark. There's 106 development permits that have been approved. Home construction is underway, as you can see as you drive through Wood Buffalo. The deadline to have an approved demolition permit through Specs or your own contractor is on Friday. If you're uninsured or underinsured, please contact the Red Cross for potential financial assistance with demolition. After Friday, the municipality is preparing to help the community clear debris and facilitate rebuilding through a contractor to do any remaining demolition work that is required. For you or any of your subcontractors who have started demolition work that will not be complete by September 30th, there will be a grace period until October the 17th to finish that demolition. After October 17th, the municipality will begin working with the goal of removing all remaining debris by October 31st. Once debris has been removed, the process for the Phase 2 re-entry of green or standing homes in the restricted areas will begin. An update on the demolition process will be presented Wednesday evening, 2 days from today, at the next Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee meeting. On waterways, we invite all waterways residents that haven't done so already to take the Waterways Rebuilding Options Survey by calling the post line at 780-743-7000. The survey, which outlines 3 proposal options for rebuilding in waterways, has seen strong participation, but we also want to get as much feedback as possible. We would like to close this survey down on September the 30th if we could, so please get your answers into the post line by Friday, September 30th. Your input will inform and guide us in making a recommendation to Council for the next steps for waterways. As part of the survey, you can also tell us about another option that maybe we haven't presented that you'd like to consider. Thank you once again to all of our waterways residents for your strength, resolve, and patience, and we will work together to solve important issues for your recovering and rebuilding. We look forward to providing an update soon on the work that's being done, and then get you safely home.
Well, thank you very much, Marty. And remember, everyone out there, to ask a question, press *3 on your phone's keypad and give your question to the operator. If you are joining us online, please type your question into the question field at rmwb.ca/townhall. Before we move on, Rob Dupree from the Insurance Bureau of Canada has a brief update. Rob?
Thanks, Adam, and thank you everyone for listening in. IBC continues to be available both in Fort McMurray and by phone and email to provide support, guidance, and assistance when you have questions about insurance. We have consumer information officers that can help answer your general insurance questions. We can be reached at 1-844-227-5422 or via email at fortmacfire@ibc.ca. That's fortmacfire@ibc.ca. Now, if you own a business and it was affected by the wildfire, you may have purchased something called business interruption or loss of earnings insurance. This can be purchased as additional coverage to your business property policy. It can cover you for your business losses while you're unable to operate because of the fire. When you have questions about this type of insurance or any other portion of your business claim, we encourage you to stop by the Back to Business Resource Center in the Hardin Street building in downtown Fort McMurray. IBC's Dave Johnson is available there between 10 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. weekdays to help you understand your coverage. Stop by and have a chat with Dave. Now, have you ever wondered if your insurer will cover the additional cost of rebuilding your home through the winter months? Do you know what to do if you disagree with your adjuster? And how long will it take to rebuild my home? The answers to these and many other frequently asked questions are located at ibc.ca. Check us out online. Click on the Fort McMurray and surrounding area link for additional details and resources. IBC. We are here to help the residents of the RMWB.
Well, thank you very much, Rob. I should also mention that Rob and IBC will be presenting at the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee meeting on Wednesday night. Again, we'll hope everyone out there can join us, whether it's here in Council Chambers, online, or by watching on Shaw TV Fort McMurray. So as always, everyone, we're going to get started. We will do our best to answer your questions, so let's get going. We got a bunch of questions online as well as on the phone lines. Remember to press *3 to ask a question, and an operator will take your question, or you can type your question into the question field at rmw.ca/townhall. So we're going to start out online tonight. This question is from Sammy. He's saying, hey, I'm a small business owner. Where can I go for help? As you know, it's a very challenging time in the community for some of our small businesses. I'd like to know where I can go to get some more information, some support. So I'm going to go to Amanda Haydes with our Economic Development Department first off, then I'm also going to go to Melanie with the Red Cross. So Amanda, go right ahead.
Thank you, and great question. At the moment, a great resource can be accessed at the Back to Business Resource Center, which is located at 9816 Hardin Street. It's on the first floor, and in that center, there's access to business supplies, offices, boardrooms, but more importantly, there's a lot of programs that are hosted in that center, and they are free. The Back to Business coaching program is a free with a certified consultant, and it's a great resource for local businesses to take advantage of. On top of that, we have programs on social media, marketing, Ask an Expert program, which includes information about legal insurance, accounting. So it's a great place for you to go down and get as much information as you can. And once again, that is free, and it is located at 9816 Hardin Street. You can also go on to choosewoodbuffalo.ca, and there you will see a calendar of events to get a better idea of what's offered in the center. We're open 8:30 to 4:30, Monday to Friday. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Amanda. We'll go to Melanie Solaire from the Red Cross for a second part to this answer. Thanks.
Hi, thanks, Adam. And thanks, Sammy, for your question. Hopefully you have registered with previously with the small business line to have received your $1,000 immediate emergency assistance. We are coming with Phase 2 and a Phase 3 of that program so that eligible small business owners, proprietors, and tradespeople can receive up to an additional $20,000 in total of assistance, including the initial $1,000. We were in competition for Phase 2, and we have selected a vendor, and we are just finalizing our agreement with that vendor so that they can launch. We're hoping mid-October. The good news is that if you have already received the $1,000 from the small business registration hotline earlier, you will be pre-registered and fast-tracked into Phase 2. So we're working as fast as we can. We recognize that it is a challenging time for small business owners in the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo, and time is of the essence. So we're moving just as fast as we can to be sure that the right vendor with the right systems are in place to be able to launch Phase 2 quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie, so much for that. Thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Sammy, for the great question. Certainly small business, big priority in the community right now. We're also going to go to Marty Giles with the committee, if he could take that.
I just have a question, Melanie. Anybody who registered for the first $1,000 does not immediately going to qualify for the second, I guess I'll call it envelope, correct? There could be different criteria, I believe, around this second funding phase. Could you clarify that for the caller?
Yes, so we will validate criteria. Much of it is similar to the first phase, and it is not a blanket coverage similar to what I'll say the $1,000 is. The second phase is up to an additional $8,000, and small business owners will be required to show their eligible expenses. So the vendor will walk through each of the steps with folks who have registered. We also have a website in place ready to provide information as it is emerging, and that website is www.redcross.ca/Alberta Fires Business. And we're going to keep that site updated as frequently as possible. We're also working very closely with the small business hotline to be sure that all of that information transitions smoothly into Phase 2. So thanks for the question, Marty.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for helping Sammy out with his question. We're going to go back to our online portion. This question is from Annette. She's saying, as a Phase 2 Beacon Hill resident, I am concerned that uninsured residents will slow down our reentry in Phase 2 because demolition won't be finished. Winter is fast approaching, and we don't want to leave our homes unattended. I'm going to go to Bryce Oberchewski, our Acting Manager of Operations with the task force. If you could take a stab at Annette's question, please.
Thanks, Adam. Going through the demolition process and recently closed demolition RFP for outstanding homes that are either uninsured or underinsured, and no insurance, is that we are trying to steer residents to go through to the Red Cross to register to help aid in the process of getting their permits, getting those things in place to complete the demolition. From there is that anything that is outstanding, whether it be uninsured or whether it be underinsured, is that the RMWB's demolition recently closed RFP for demolitions, outstanding demolitions, take care of that till for October 30th, 31st.
Thanks so much, Bryce. I'm also going to go to Dana Woodworth, our recovery team leader.
Thanks for the question, Annette. And I just want to reiterate what Bryce just said. We have a mechanism in place. The municipality can and will take steps to ensure that the demolition removal continues apace. We recognize that the entire community is affected if it doesn't occur, and we intend to do so.
Well, thank you, Annette, for the question, and thank you to Bryce as well as Dana. We're going to go back to the phones, actually to the phones for the first time. And the question is, actually, we're looking for Mike. Mike, are you out there?
Yes, I am.
Go right ahead with your question, sir.
I'd like to know when some decisions are going to be made on waterways in Ptarmigan Park. I think we've waited plenty of time now.
Well, Mike, thank you very much for the question. I'm going to go to Dana Woodworth, our team leader with the task force.
Thanks, Mike. So you have waited quite a while, and I respect that. It remains a complex scenario, and I think you know that. So information still needs to be gathered to make an informed decision, and primarily, frankly, from the citizens. Marty talked about in the front end, the survey remains open, and use the pulse line for those that haven't provided their perspective. But the reality is there's still inadequate information right now to make what I would call an informed decision. I'd like to believe it's going to occur in the coming months, but we don't want to be seen as reactive. Frankly, we want to do the right thing for the right information we have.
Well, thanks, Mike, for the question. Thank Dana. I'll add that pulse line number is 780-743-7000. The Waterways survey remains open. There are 3 options as part of that survey for the next steps for the Waterways neighborhood. Residents are also free, as Marty mentioned off the top, to provide a 4th option or any option that they see fit. And we're looking to wrap up that survey as part of delivering next steps for the community. So thank you very much, Mike, and thank you, Dana. Just a reminder to everyone out there, if you're listening in, if you'd like to ask a question, press star 3 on your phone's keypad and give your question to the operator. If you are joining us online, please type your question into the question field at rmwb.ca/townhall. We are going to go back to our online portion, and this question is from Luke, and he's, I guess a question probably for you, Melanie, in the Red Cross. He's asking, I've lost my home in Beacon Hill, and I'm looking for some housing assistance with some rent in the community. I understand Red Cross might be offering a program to help us. Can you provide me with some more information? So, Melanie, if you could take that one for us, that'd be great.
Thanks, Adam. Yes, the Red Cross continues to provide housing assistance for families and individuals who require interim housing until they can go back home. The Canadian Red Cross will work with residents on a case-by-case basis. Initially, we were offering 3 months of rental or mortgage assistance, and housing assistance will continue primarily for uninsured or underinsured residents who have experienced damage or loss on their properties. I would ask that individuals visit our Hardin Street office and make an appointment. So 2 ways to make an appointment. You can call 1-888-553-5505, and make a housing appointment. If there are urgencies, there are walk-in appointments available. Also, in addition to providing rent and mortgage assistance, we are also supporting families who would like to subscribe to the interim housing program available through the Government of Alberta, administered by the local housing authority. And there is a show home on site, and the Canadian Red Cross is happy to provide damage deposit and rental assistance for families who would like to access that program as well. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks very much, Melanie. Thank you, Luke, for the great question. We're going to go back to the phone lines. Carl, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Carl. How are you?
Good. My question is, my trailer burnt down up at 353 McKinley Crescent, and my original trailer was a 16 by 72 long. I'm trying to search for a replacement. They don't make a 16 by 72 anymore. It comes in a 16 by 76. And I wanted to know if that size would still be allowed on my lot. I contacted the city. They gave me a some sort of a permit to fill out, but I don't know anything about easements or anything like that. So I was just wondering, will that be allowed? Because it's going to be an extra 4 feet on the back end of the trailer.
Well, thank you so much, Carl, for the question. I'm going to go to Tracy Tester, our Supervisor of Community Development Planning, please. Tracy.
Hi, Carl. That's a great question. It's something that we're faced with quite a bit at our front counter. I don't know if you're local in town at the moment, but what I highly encourage you to do is to bring in your modular unit plan into our front counter, where we have a number of planners who are working at that front counter on a daily basis, just trying to help site. What you're looking for is how to site your new trailer in your lot, because we have to respect our side yard setback. So being over the phone, I'm not able to tell you if you're meeting your side yard or your rear yard and your front yard, but by bringing in a plan, because what we're finding is the older modular units, they're not fitting in today's standards because they're bigger. They have en-suites, they have more porches, they have dens, and so on. I'm sure you're finding that when you're looking through your different designs, right? So anyways, I encourage you to come into the office and have that comfort before you hit order, so that way you know that it's going to be cited properly. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Tracy and Carl. That's a great question. Tracy, maybe we can remind Carl and some of our other listeners about the hours at 309 Powder Drive location of the Planning and Development Department.
Yep. Thank you. We're open from 8:30 to 4:30.
All right. Thanks so much, Tracy. And 8:30 to 4:30, Monday to Friday. As always, you can call Pulse Line 780-743-7000, 24/7, 365 days a year. We are going to go to the phones, and we are going to go to Sunday. Sunday, are you out there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, sir. Go right ahead with your question.
Okay, so my question is, my property was partially damaged, and I have, apart from the fire, I have also the water damage with some mold formation. They were trying to save the house. So now my question is, the insurance company did the inspection. They got a consulting firm, and they have done inspection twice. When I asked them for the report, the consulting firm said, no, I'm not working for you. You asked your adjuster. And then when I talked to my adjuster, they refused to give me the report. So I had to go get my inspection also done, and then I had to pay for my pocket. So now even the repair scope, I've not gotten the repair scope from them, and they want to start the repair. So my question is, if I pay from my pocket, who's going to be responsible for this money? 1, 2, and if my consulting firm, because he's asking for insulation removal because of water damage and stuff like that, and probably they have less. So are they going to use their own inspection to make the repair, or my own consulting firm?
Well, thanks very much for the question. I'm going to send that one to Rob Dupree with the Insurance Bureau of Canada, please.
Hi, Sunday, and thank you very much for the question. I'm sorry that you're having some challenges and some difficulty with your claim. It sounds like you've had some repairs done already and you've paid for some things out of pocket, and now you're starting to get into more of the rebuild or the replacement of some of the property. One of the first things you should do is reach out to your actual insurance adjuster. give them a call, send them an email, provide them with the documentation so that they know exactly what you have incurred so they can work with you towards reimbursement. If you do have any other documentation, send it over to that particular person as well so that they have the information and know exactly what they're dealing with. If you can't get a hold of the adjuster, if you're having some difficulty, you can also reach out to the manager or the supervisor at that particular insurance company and ask them to step in if you're not able to get an appropriate answer. If you go to our website at ibc.ca and click on the Fort McMurray link, we do have a section in there, what to do if you disagree with your adjuster. So if you do have a difference of opinion, it gives you some step-by-step processes that ultimately goes up to formal legislation and a formal dispute resolution process that you can and do have available to you. But I would encourage you to talk to your insurance company first. At IBC, we also have consumer information officers that are able to step in and provide some information to you as well. So I'd encourage you to reach out to one of them at 1-8442-ASK-IBC. Thank you for calling.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you, Sunday, for that excellent question. We're going to go back to the phone lines for our next question. This one is from Robert. Robert, are you there? Hi, Robert. Go right ahead with your question, please.
My question is I live in Ptarmigan Park there in Waterways, and we lost our home, and there's nobody can get flood insurance. So why aren't we just allowed to take our chances and put our places back to the way that they were before the fire and get our lives back going on track again?
Well, thank you very much, Robert. That's a great question. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to go first to Marty Giles with the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee.
So, Robert, I'm just going to ask you a question. I think if I'm hearing you right, you're kind of saying if one of the options is that you can get your own trailer, it meets all the requirements as far as being on the right size of the lot, you would roll the dice if you could be allowed to build back in there, and if it flooded, you'd take your chances? Is that what you're saying? That would be an option you'd like to have on the table?
Yeah, it is, and I'm saying I'd take my chances. I'd order it tomorrow if I could get it there within a week and have it set up because my lot's clean.
Okay. I'm not sure if we have that as one of our three options for waterways where it's in there, but we've got 4 members of the recovery committee right now, and I want to make sure we hear this citizen. He's saying, sorry, Rob, you're going to let me put my own trailer on, and if it floods, oh well, just let me build and get back. So am I hearing you right there, Robert? I just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody can get flood insurance anywhere, so what's the difference?
That's a different way to look at it. Does anybody else want to add to that? Rob, he doesn't really have to talk to you because he doesn't want insurance at all. He just wants to roll the dice. But anything you can add to that, Rob?
I can touch on the flood insurance piece a bit. Traditionally, flood insurance is not usually available within the insurance industry. There are a couple of companies and some products that you're starting to see some flood coverage that is available. But you're absolutely right, Robert. Unfortunately, there's some locations that are built in certain areas where that coverage just may not be available. The coverage may be available to 90% of the population, but for the 10% that may really need that, it just may not be available, unfortunately.
Well, thanks very much, Rob, and thank you, Marty. We will remind Robert out there, not the Rob we were just talking to, Robert out there, thanks so much for the question. Like we said, we do have that waterway survey available. There are 3 options, but there's also the other options. If there's something else that you would like to see, please make sure to call the pulse line, 780-743-7000. You can get, our operators are there waiting for our waterways residents to submit that survey. So please do that if you haven't already. Talk to your neighbors in the neighborhood. We want to get as many residents and waterways to help us out. We're going to keep going here. We're going to go back to our online portion. As usual, a lot of online questions coming in. This one's from Lori, and she's asking, for Phase 2 reentry, and I'm assuming she means the green home reentry, what needs to be completed? So I think we got kind of 2 elements. First of all, there's a demolition process element. So I'll go to you first, Bryce Horbaczewski, our acting manager of operations. Maybe Dana, you can weigh in on the overall process. Bryce?
Okay, so we're looking, thank you again, and good question. Right now, we're looking at the completion of all the demolitions, which hopefully should be by the end of October, but the next steps are also contingent on the removal of ash, an updated plan to the CMOH, and then also one of the bigger concerns was the traffic mitigation during demolition and the building phases. So those are the areas that we're looking into right now to get some clarification on.
I'm looking over at Dana, and he's saying that it looks like Bryce covered it all. So I think we got a good explanation there. Thank you, Lori, for the question. Certainly, that's a question on a lot of our residents' mind in Navasant, Beacon Hill, and certain parts of waterways right now. So thank you for your patience and resolve. We're certainly working with our partners to get debris removal completed. So we're going to go back to the phone lines, and this question is related to that process. Probably going to go back to you again, Bryce. Gord, are you there? Gord?
Hello? Yes.
Hi, Gord.
Yeah. My question is, when my lot's cleaned up and I got a big hole in the ground for the winter, it's my understanding that we have to backfill the hole, and that's going to cost me about $8,000. So in the spring, I got to dig this back up, which will probably cost me another $8,000. So the added expense, what's the justification for this? Like, why can't I just leave a hole in the ground over winter?
Well, thank you so much, Gord, for the question. Certainly, that's another question that's front of mind in the community as demolition wraps up. So we'll go to Marty Giles first with the Buffalo Recovery Committee, and maybe on the operational side.
I guess it's your call. At the community engagement session on Saturday, I had a long talk with planning and development guys, and what the worry about from a point of view of rebuilding and a geotechnic standpoint is if you leave that hole open, and then obviously it gets moisture in your basement, and then it freezes over the winter, what once was a stable place to build your house next spring might not be a stable spot. And also, you might not get the frost out till, somewhere in the middle of June, right? So it might be a good investment, I guess, to do it that way. I'm going to defer to one of my counterparts here to add on to that. But I know, for example, my home, we dug the basement out. We're filling it back in because we're trying not to have those geotechnic problems in our basement that can happen by leaving that hole open. Is there anything else to add? It just makes it way easier to build next spring if you kind of insulate it with some dirt.
No, that's exactly how I was going to answer it.
Well, thank you so much, Marty, and thank you, Gord, for the question as demolition and debris removal continues in the community. We are going to go back to our online portion, but first I'm going to remind everybody, if you'd like to ask a question, you're out there online, you're out there on the phone, press *3 on your phone's keypad and give your question to the operator. If you are joining us online tonight, please type your question into the question field there at rmwb.ca/townhall. Like I said, we're going back online for this question. This one's from Jeanette, and she's asking, I lost a house in Navasant and I had no insurance. Red Cross is meeting with me on October 7th. How much financial assistance would I be able to expect? And will I receive an extension on my demolition because of the late start? So kind of a two-parter there. I think we'll first go to Red Cross, and we'll go to Bryce with the operations team. First of all, Jeanette, sorry to hear about your loss, losing your home. Certainly, we're thinking about you. We're working hard to do what we can. So I'm going to go to Red Cross, Melanie Solaire, and then we'll go to Bryce Orbachowski.
Hi, thanks. Jeanette, thanks for your question. I'm sorry about your loss. The Canadian Red Cross is helping with debris removal. You do not have to wait till your appointment for October 7th to be able to receive assistance. We are expediting paperwork and work orders with specs to be able to meet the September 30th deadline. So uninsured homeowners who are in need of assistance with debris removal can visit us actually at the Future Forward Center at 9717 Franklin Avenue. And we have caseworkers there just with paperwork and vouchers to be able to assist specifically with debris removal. In the event that you are not in Fort McMurray and you need to phone us, you can phone the line at 1-888-553-5505 and indicate that you're looking for debris removal. And we have assigned a team just to call out to uninsured homeowners who can send the paperwork over and expedite the process. So we're hoping to be able to do that in the next days so that we do not interrupt the goal of the September 30th deadline. And you can expect up to $16,000 in assistance for your lot. So I do see you have a second part of your question, and so hopefully the voucher and the agreement with the vendor will be satisfactory to meet your needs to clean up your yard.
Thanks, Jeanette, for the question. Thank you, Melanie, for the response. I'm also going to go to Bryce Herberchowski with the operations team in the task force, because one of the elements of the question was about an extension on the demolition. Maybe you can, I know you spoke earlier in the call, but maybe just speak about the general demolition process that's going to take place or wrap up here in the next little bit.
Oh, thank you. So we want to be able to have all the permits processed or start to be applied for by the 30th, with a little bit of grace period to the 17th of October. After that time is that we will step in as a municipality with the RFP that we put out for homes that are either underinsured or underinsured or no insurance whatsoever, and then we'll take care of it from there and hopefully have completion by the end of October. So we don't want to extend it further because of everybody else wants to have some progress.
Well, thanks so much for that. And Marty, I'll go to you in just a second, but we did have a question that came in online, I think, from Arya, and she's asking, when does the bid for the demolition finalize? So maybe you can just speak to when the RFP process closes, as much as, we have a September 30th deadline, and Specs is working very hard on that, as well as our local contractors for our individual residents. Maybe you can speak to that as well.
Thanks, Adam. Yes. Last week, or not last week, I had it written down here, is on the 16th of September is that we close the RFP for the demolition bids. Just recently is that we've reviewed all of the submittals, and hopefully by the end of the week we will have it. We will have the contract awarded to this contract. So that's kind of where we sit with the progress of demolition bidding process.
Thanks for that, Bryce. Marty, we'll go to you next.
And just on the question about extending it, again, I went through the bullet points at the beginning, but I went a little bit fast. The one thing about either it be administration or the recovery task force is every time something gets extended, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And we really want to get on to the phase 2 re-entry of the green and standing homes, and the extension of debris removal, especially in this lady's area of Abasand, might hold someone else up from getting home. So just want to make sure everybody understands, we had to respect the sifting process going back through June and July. We wanted to have people have some time with that. Then we had to actually do the demolition, but we had to have a day where something had to end because this demolition not getting done, if we extend another month, that means we're telling another resident that they can't go back to their home that's standing. So it's tough around, but that's the decision that these people are making every day. And they're tough ones, but the fairest to the people that still have standing homes, I think.
Well, thanks again. I know, Arya, you were part of that question as well, and thank you, Jeanette, for the initial question. Thank you to our panelists here tonight. We're going to go back to the phones for our next question. This one is from Johnny. Johnny, are you there?
Good evening, sir. My question is to IBC. I was wondering when they're going to have, how long will they have a gentleman on hand to speak with here in Fort McMurray? Will that be present till spring? Because our insurance companies are just getting a hold of us now, and it seems to be a slow process, if you understand me.
Thanks very much for the question, Johnny, and obviously we're going to go to Rob Dupree with IBC. Rob, go right ahead.
Hi, Johnny, and thank you very much for the call. Yes, IBC is going to be available locally for the foreseeable future. As long as there's a need, we are going to be available. If we're not here in person, and I just want to remind everyone, we do have Dave Johnson at the Back to Business Resource Center in the Hardin Street building from 10 a.m. to 4:30, and we're also at the Here For You public engagement sessions on Thursday between 4 to 8 at Shell Place. If you're not able to come see us in person, we're also available by phone at 1-8442-ASK-IBC, and also by email at fortmacfire@ibc.ca. Thank you for the call, Johnny.
Well, thanks so much, Johnny, for the question, and thank you, Rob, once again. And another reminder to everyone out there listening or joining us online tonight, if you'd like to ask a question, press *3 on your phone's keypad and give your question to the operator. If you're joining us online at rmwb.ca, you can type your question into the question field and it will enter into the system. We're going to go back to our online portion. This question is from Rebecca. Has a decision been made regarding 25 wide lots in Abasand being rebuilt as single detached? So I know this relates to the overlay bylaw potentially that's coming forward for second and third reading at council tomorrow night. So maybe we can go to Tracy Tester first with our Planning and Development Department. Tracy.
I'm here. Sorry about that. I thought it was a great question, and I just want to reiterate what was already spoken about, and I encourage you to listen into council tomorrow evening with the overlay, where we're hoping to get some certainty and some clarity as to what the expectation is for those areas, in particular with these, we call them the patio homes in your particular neighborhood of Abasand, but I'm waiting, as well as you are, for that direction tomorrow evening. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Rebecca, for the question, and thank you so much, Tracy, for that. And we'll remind our residents tomorrow night at Council, 6 o'clock in the Council chambers, the meeting. You can't make it in person. It's streamed online at rmwb.ca. You can also watch it live on Shaw TV, Fort McMurray, Channel 10. So it's a very important discussion. And then depending on how the debate goes, how the discussion goes, at our Thursday night public engagement session or Here For You session at Shell Place, our session will focus on that land use bylaw amendment. So we welcome you to come out and join our Planning and Development Department and a number of other community partners Thursday night at Shell Place to discuss what that will mean for the community. So a very good question, Rebecca. Thank you so much for sending that one in to us, and thank you, Tracy, and we'll continue forward. We are going to go back to the phones. I hope I get this right. Suhaib, are you there? You're gone? Okay, it looks like we lost Suhaib on the line, so we'll continue on with another question. This one, we're going to go back online. This one's from Sonia. I think this one will be for you, Rob, with IBC. Sonia's asking, why can't I get a new insurance provider to take me as a client? So, Rob, if you could take that for us.
And good question, and thank you very much for sending in your question. Insurance is about risk, and each insurance company has a different risk tolerance and a different risk appetite. Many factors go into insurance availability for individuals. What I will suggest is I encourage you to shop around. There's many local agents and brokers that are here to discuss your needs. Have a conversation with one of them to see if they have a product that is suitable for your needs. Thanks for the question.
Well, thanks for the question, Sonia. And Rob, I'm going to keep you right there because we have a question that came in online from Jillian. And maybe if Dave Johnson was here, he'd probably take this one, but you're much better than him, so you can answer it. Jillian's asking, what help is available for seniors? They are having trouble with the insurance process. So Rob, if you could take that one for us, it'd be appreciated.
Yes, and thank you for the call, Jillian. We are here and we are available. We do have someone in person that's at the Back to Business Resource Center from 10 a.m. to 4:30. We do have people available by phone and by email that can help you out. We're also working with the municipality to see if IBC could be hosting a session for some of the seniors. We're still working out some of the details and trying to find out what is the best way to be able to connect with the people that do have the questions. If you're able to, encourage you to come out to the Here For You engagement session at Shell Place this Thursday between 4 to 8. Dave and I will both be there, and we can help answer your questions. And we can also set up a time if you are able to come down to the Hardin Street building to meet with Dave as well. So a number of options available. Hopefully we'll be able to talk with you soon. Thanks for calling.
Thanks very much, Rob, for that. Thank you for the pair of questions from Jillian, and before that, Sonia. So this one is an online question once again, and this one will be for the Red Cross. This question is from Molly and Sean Hamilton. They are asking, we are currently out-of-province landlords who lost a home in Waterways. Is there financial assistance available to us for travel to and from Fort McMurray, or if our insurance will cover all of the cleanup costs? So it's a very good question, and Molly and Sean, sorry to hear about the loss of your home during the wildfire event. We'll go to Melanie Soler with the Red Cross, please, if you could take a stab at that one for us.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry for, that's a tough experience, certainly, and being far from home. is such a challenge as well. It's an interesting question. To be honest, I haven't heard that one before. We do have and are continuing our travel program whereby we are assisting residents to return to Fort McMurray to get their situation sorted out. So it would be interesting to have a conversation in whether or not you can access that program to return to Fort McMurray to check on your property and to get work done. It would also be helpful to have a conversation in regards to your insurance coverages to see what's available to you and if you are considered underinsured. So what I would recommend is to make an appointment with our call center and speak to a caseworker. It is an unusual case. So perhaps what I will do here is have our folks get your name and number, and I will have a casework supervisor call you back to understand your situation a bit further because it is unusual. So thanks for your question, and we will retrieve your contact information and be in touch shortly. Thank you.
Well, once again, Molly and Sean, sorry to hear about your loss of your home and waterways, whether, I'm not sure if you've been in the community or you're out of the community now because of that, but in any case, sorry to hear about the loss of your property. Thank you, Melanie, for being able to follow up. We'll also go to Marty Giles with the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee on that one.
If I was listening to the question right, though, Melanie, this wasn't a resident of Fort McMurray calling. This is someone who lives out of province, wasn't it, who is phoning in to see if they could come back for their rental property and get travel assistance on that. Was that the question?
Yeah, so Marty, I'm just looking back at the question. It was an online question, so it doesn't necessarily specify that. It says we are out of province landlords, so it doesn't say if they actually live here and own the property or live somewhere else or are from somewhere else, so we're not sure based on that. But certainly when Melanie follows up, we can get that information. So just to make sure, before you answer, you know that.
I just want to make sure that, whether someone lives in Alberta or not, I'm not really necessarily sure. I can't speak for the Red Cross. It's worth a phone call. But I'm not sure people who have rental properties. I don't want to give a bunch of landlords maybe pressure on the Red Cross that there could be funding and maybe available for that. Would be shocking to me if there was. But as Melanie, I think that's why you want to take the call offline. But I just want to make sure we're kind of clear. This is for perhaps folks that live here and lost their residence this money. So just don't want to have anybody be surprised by an answer on the Red Cross's line that they may not qualify for that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for clarifying that. All of our assistance is for residents of the Wood Buffalo region prior to evacuation. So that would be part of the casework assessment to see what's what.
Well, thank you so much, Melanie, and thank you, Molly and Sean, for the question. We're going to go back to the phone lines. Michael, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
Doing okay, I guess.
Go right ahead with your question, sir.
My question is, because my insurance company is being so slow, and I've had to fund everything, including now our building permits and everything went in today, so now I have to fund all this stuff. I did hear rumors that the city was going to reevaluate the price of the permits. Has anything been done with that?
Well, thank you so much, Michael, for the question. We're going to go to Councillor Sheldon Germain from the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee because we know there's something at Council tomorrow night. But maybe, Councillor Germain, you can talk about that.
Thank you, Mike. Myself, I've served notice for Council with Councillor McGrath and Councillor Vinnie, Mike, to try to figure out ways we can lend support on developmental fees, tipping fees, and other costs. There is an agenda bill coming forward to Council tomorrow night that is going to consider some options, and depending on the resolution of Council, we should have some more clarity. Your first line of attack, of course, is always the good people at IBC to see if they can help support you in recovering fees through them, and we are going to try to put together a pretty solid package to support you from our end.
Well, thank you so much, Councillor Germain, and thank you, sir, for the question. As a reminder to everyone all night, if you can't make it to Council tomorrow night, it's online, rmwb.ca. It's on television, Shaw TV, Fort McMurray. So we really, if you have time, please join us through those mediums as well to see the debate at Council. We are going to go back to our online portion. This question's from Sandy, and she's asking, does the September demolition deadline apply to the homes in Dickinsfield that were damaged by the explosion before re-entry? So I'm going to go to Bryce Oberchewski, our acting manager in operations in the Recovery Task Force. Bryce?
Thanks again, and we included the Dickinsfield houses in that recovery project, or the demolition project.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you, Sandy, for the question, and thank you, Bryce, for following up. Just a reminder to everyone out there, I think we've got a little bit less than 10 minutes. If you'd like to put in a question, remember, you can press *3 on your phone's keypad and give your question to one of our operators. If you're joining us online tonight, please type your question into the question field, rmwb.ca/townhall. We're going to stick with our online portion. This question is from Shannon, and she is asking, can we have a waterways town hall if this one will be ending soon? So, Shannon, I think you mean the town hall, the telephone town hall. Many waterways residents still cannot return. So I guess I can take that one for administration to start, and we can go around the rest of the table. Absolutely is the answer. So I know Marty may have alluded tonight that we'll have a telephone town hall tonight, and probably the next one will be our last one, as we'll move on to some different communications tactics and engaging with the community. But that doesn't mean we couldn't come back to a format like this if that's what the community needed. So I'll allow the committee to weigh on it as well, but we're always able to reintroduce this if that's what the residents of Waterways want, or any other resident across the region. So Marty, you'd like to weigh in on that as well?
Yeah, I think the town halls have been really good. They served a purpose, but when, for example, the Waterways town hall that we engagement session, I guess a Here For You session, they seem to be a little more effective as long as we can, keep the conversation going. And it's more like one time, you notice on this call tonight, people call in, get their question answered. We think we may have answered it, and then we're on to the next question because we're trying to get through them. So I'm not sure. Maybe if you wanted to put that in through the post line, I thought that was a good idea. But I think perhaps like an engagement session with the Waterways folks, especially with the survey ending on Friday and some more information coming. I think we owe it to those residents to go out face to face again here very shortly versus a town hall with a bunch of pictures, maps, with more detail than we had last time, to have maybe a more productive session.
Okay, thank you, Shannon, for the question. Thank you, Marty. We'll also go to Mark Hodson with the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee.
Yeah, thanks, Adam, and thanks for the question. And just to build on that, when we did have the first Here For You session that was focused on the citizens of Waterways that had the information on the walls and was an opportunity to get into a dialogue as opposed to just ask some questions, we made a commitment there at that meeting that we would come back after the survey and organize another session that was dedicated to Waterways. So the target for that is in October, which was kind of the commitment around the survey. And based on feedback from that, we'll make a decision around next steps for Waterways. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Marty, and thank Mark. I'll also remind our listeners out there, we currently have a survey that's online at rmwb.ca/engage about communication and engagement itself. So it talks about the telephone town hall, it talks about our engagement sessions, and if we're communicating and engaging in the right way. So we invite our residents to go out and fill that out to get feedback on our initial steps. We've had 8 Here For You sessions thus far. We go to Anzac in a little bit here. We're going all across the region. And, of course, the telephone town hall and other ways of communicating have been part of that. So we want to hear initially how we're doing, if we're taking the right steps, are they the right times, are they the right types of formats. So we'll always improve and we'll always refine as we go through the process. So thank you very much, Shannon, for your question. And we'll bring back the telephone town hall over time as needed if that's what the community wants. We're going to continue on. We got about 5 minutes left, so we might be able to get in, I think, one more question before we go into our finale. This one is from Sonia, coming in online. She's asking, is there childcare at the Thursday meetings at Shell Place? I want to attend, but not bring a small child. Well, maybe I'll take that one as well on behalf of the task force and administration. Certainly that's something we could look into with one of our partners. Right now, I know we have the childcare corner. That's part of that, where we have some coloring books and some other activities, and we certainly have staff there that can take a look at your child. So I'll also ask the committee to weigh in what their thoughts are on that, but that's certainly something we could look into to get more of our residents a chance to participate. Councillor Germain, did you want to weigh in on that one?
I just wanted to remind you, Adam, that we're at Shell Place, and at Suncor Centre, Family Centre, there is child mining there. Available every Thursday night, so.
Perfect, yeah. So I guess, yeah, if you were attending the facility, I know the child mine's still on the first floor of the Suncor Community Leisure Center, certainly could check in at guest services and see what the status of that is. So, sounds great. We're going to wrap things up. We're going to go into our finale here. So I'd like to remind everyone that we'll be having our next telephone town hall next week. And we thank you once again for joining us tonight. Before we close out the call, I'd like to ask Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee Marty Giles to make some closing remarks. Marty?
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, everybody, for joining us this evening. Our community, as we recover, I just want to make sure you know about these engagement sessions that are actually really ramping up right now. One of the engagement sessions, I guess, which isn't always an engagement session, is come to City Council Tuesday night. Tomorrow night, there's obviously a couple of big things on the agenda. It's good to come down. You can live stream as well, but make sure you get involved with that process because there could be answers in there. Wednesday night, the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee will be meeting again. There's some things on that agenda that people will want to hear about. Obviously, our Here For You engagement session. Thursday night at Shell Place. And then Monday out to Anzac. So I think there was 5 out of 7 last days there was engagement sessions. Now we're going to be 4 out of the next 6, I guess, will be somewhat engagement sessions or information sessions. So I just encourage everybody to get out. And last but not least, please, Waterways people, give us your information by this Friday by calling the Pulse line at 743-7000. We want to get as much data as possible to the Recovery Committee to make sure that we've had everybody who's been listened on this tough situation that's down on Waterways.
Well, absolutely, Marty. Thank you so much. And while we do have strong participation on the Waterways survey, I know we have our last census 636 residents, so want to make sure we get every last person to give us their direction so we can move forward. So thanks so much for that. A full audio replay will be available soon at rmwb.ca/townhall. In addition to our regular Here For You community engagement sessions, to connect with us, you can visit our website, like I said, rmwb.ca, or call or email Pulse 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 780-743-7000 and Pulse at rmwb.ca. If you have a very recovery-specific question for the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee or the task force, you can also email recovery@rmwb.ca. The next telephone town hall is Monday, October 3rd at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Have a good evening as we remain here for you, safe, resilient, and together. Thank you.